two things which are missing in the law. One is ethics practice is a basis of CSR. A company which has highly unethical business and product and can also have high degree of CSR activity.
Absolutely.
Example of Gutka manufacturing company can have good CSR activity.
Absolutely.
Now, second point, the product itself has environmental damage. Cigarette, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Colgate, which are banned in other countries. What type of CSR? Is there any provision that mitigate the risk because of your product? A cigarette manufacturing company, what can have? They can have CSR. If
Thanks.
they have, that's what.
Thanks. I think I clearly see the point. That means as a business, I have to create a net positive value. I cannot be creating shareholder value and damaging the environment, damaging the community, damaging the customer, damaging my employee. So the net value actually becomes zero or negative. As a business, I need to demonstrate, but that's a little separate. But there, yeah, please.
Venkat Rola from RPG. Yeah. I think what Mr. Pilot said in his last meeting in Bombay is coming out very clear that he too wants this very evolutionary. That he is allowing the board to decide what they want to do under CSR and file it. He says, we'll accept what you guys are doing it. He is trying to check the conscience of the companies, what they want to do, and probably see a path of evolution that even a research which a company has done now and did a good job in trying to find the right product for community benefit. Till that time, if he chooses to keep it as CSR, be it so. So I think that's where the minister is coming from.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. Here there is a question. Yeah.
Hi, this is Chandra. Although it is not worded in the rules or act, but I think on the subject of what project should be qualified as a CSR project or otherwise a business project, I think the main distinction should be made in terms of a direct and immediate benefit to the turnover or a profitability or a long-term benefit. Although all CSR activity can have a long-term benefit to the company in terms of a community development and company may gain in long run. Taking a clue from an example to example given by the panelist. For example, if you have a project which is aimed at enhancing the hygiene of tribals, and if you are distributing a product free of cost for a certain period of time, possibly according to me it will be qualified as a CSR project.
Absolutely.
But if you are pricing a product, reducing a quantity and keeping a price low, I think it should not be counted as a CSR because it is adding to your turnover or profitability directly. And then I think it was earlier in rule it was there, it should not be linked to directly to increasing a turnover and the profitability. So I think that this test is very vital, and although it is not there in the rule.
Yeah, I see that very important point. That's why actually the whole UN internationally struggled to demonstrate what is called business unusual additionality for the first time as a concept, and struggled over something like 10 years. And I think such toolbox has to be developed. If not toolbox, some sort of a rules have to develop. Yeah. They will develop as an evolutionary.
During the discussion, I heard that I'm distributing biscuits at a reduced price, and if that can be replaced by the same company by giving vada pav, which is available with the fortified vada pav, I think that's a different issue. Second one is that I'm selling Colgate toothpaste at free of cost and later selling it in that. I'm creating a market. Product innovation and product stewardship are two different aspects. These are product innovation or innovative ways of marketing the products rather than creating a value for the people who are impacted by my activities. As Dr. Babu said very clearly, when you are taking certain activities, I need to show that I'm not doing it for the profit, either in short term or in the long term. Second one is that to demonstrate that possibly there is a need for tool to demonstrate that this is not for profit, either in the short term or in the long term aspect of a business opportunity for a company doing CSR activities. I think that's two things which need to be evolved over a period of time. As you said in CDM, over a period of time, it took longer time to come out with a tool for demonstration of this not-for-profit activity.
It's a kind of comment which is very much in support to what Mr. Bhaskar said. See, as a corporate, each corporate has a vision for their CSR. They have certain objectives. But if we have to really, a kind of fit in to those focus areas which are mentioned there, and need not be that me as a corporate is very much into those fitted areas, but that is a requirement of the kind of community where I am around. So that kind of flexibility should be there in the law, rather than, I mean, it's good that there is a rule behind it that now it's a compulsory, it's a mandatory thing which all corporates should do. But, what about the corporates who are already into it in a big way? Their credibility is also then, it's a question of their credibility, and their vision is also to be respected. So maybe a sector kind of, a flexible kind of a framework is made sector-wise, rather than only giving these general, the general areas which is being talked in the Schedule 7.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's a very important point. Why?
Hello everybody, my name is Madhura and I come from Bajaj Electricals. A few things I would like to just mention here. I agree with Mr. Paresh Tiwari very much that there is, I think, a lot of discussion happening, but there are certain things that I think we are just confusing the borders with. One is risk mitigation from your business, sustainability, CSR, and your corporate philanthropy. These are, I think, different areas that each company should really focus upon, and all of it does not come in the gambit or purview of CSR. So I think we should restrict ourselves to how CSR would work. Also, where your CSR objectives are concerned, I personally feel, it's my individual opinion, that you cannot really alienate your CSR objectives from your business objectives. They have to be integrated. I mean, it's very nice that I'm like an investment bank and I'm fighting malaria somewhere. For me personally, it does not make sense. There is a lot of input that goes in building a company, a lot of expertise that goes into hiring the right kind of people, and really feel it should be completely aligned with your business objectives for the benefit of the communities and for the society.
That's wonderful. Here, please.
Hello, yeah. See, here the spending is at least 2% of 3 years average profit. Nobody prevents any company to spend more. So companies which are damaging the environment or doing something which is harmful to the people, to the environment, to the society at large, should spend more. And there is a very clear-cut reporting in the director's report, what kind of initiative, what kind of CSR policy they are framing, and what kind of amount has been spent on various objectives. I think by this reporting, there is no compulsion that you need to spend on particular thing or whether it is related to business or not related to business. Ultimately, if it is related to business also, it is fine so far as it is doing good to the society. But overall, when you report in the director's report, whatever has been done, community will be able to judge from whatever actions you have taken, how effective they are and what good you have done for the society, whether it is related to business or not. I think flexibility has to be given, and overall, ultimately, because it is not a compulsion, you have to spend only 2%. You can spend more also, but ultimately when reporting is there, people will be able to judge what good you are doing, whether you are doing with the selfish object or overall social object. Absolutely. So that is the thing.
So I see a clearly point. Transparency and disclosure solves half of the problems. Yeah.
Thank you.
Last question. Last question or comment, whatever.
Intervention.
Hi, I am Adarsh Nair from Galaxy Surfactants Limited. We make chemicals which are basic raw material for home care and personal care. Some examples have been given about biscuit, etc., including Colgate. Colgate is our very big customer. We supply worldwide. The foaming agent, that's what we make. Now, after the announcement of the rules, my worry is that we have undertaken a project or a program, community program in Chhattisgarh. Because we make chemicals that are responsible for, hygiene related. So contaminated hands, they lead to various diseases and spread of same. So we identified one NGO who was very active for last more than 12 years. And right now we are into the stage of phase 2. We have been able to touch life of more than 20,000 tribal people in district Bilaspur, forest fringe areas of Achanakmar Tiger Reserve area. Now, we have developed a hand wash station by involving the local community, and we are sourcing the materials required, including the liquid hand wash, etc. We are not into consumer products, okay? But we have been able to touch life, and we have seen the programs undertaken by us and the NGO, that even the children below 3 years, they have learned the technique of hand washing, and communities getting the benefit, and that's why we have now committed about 20 lakhs in phase 2. Now, it says that it has to be spent in the local area, whereas we have our manufacturing units in Maharashtra or Gujarat. Whether Chhattisgarh would qualify tomorrow or not, I don't know. That's my question.
I don't see anywhere local area. No, only.
But that's
Also
indicative.
spent in the local area. It says that it should also spend.
It is not necessarily
It's not
compulsory.
necessary.
It is not compulsory.
Preference, like as he said rightly,
It's
the
preferable.
area,
Yeah.
like for a manufacturing unit, you can define the area.
Yeah, for example.
What
State-
about a financial services company?
Absolutely. State Bank of India, what is
There
local
is area. There is
No, that's
area.
very clear about the financial and other type of businesses, but the manufacturing business.
Hindustan Petroleum.
Now, if the manufacturing business is located in Maharashtra,
Hindustan Lever, what is local area? What, even for Cipla, what is local area? You have distribution networks all over.
At his factory, if he is to mitigate something
Negative impacts.
So he has to do local and then go to Chhattisgarh. That I think is a very.
no, we have undertaken certain projects around our all manufacturing units, that we have adopted schools, etc. These programs are running there as well, where we explain about the hand hygiene, and there is technique tools developed by us. So it's going on successfully. We conduct some community connect melas also, where more than 20 schools participate in the tribal area, etc. But only concern is that anything which is being spent in Chhattisgarh, whether tomorrow that would qualify for this or not.
Let me respond to it. It's a very good question. The law does say local area, and it does say preference has to be given there. Preferably local. But the next point is, it leaves it ultimately to the board to justify where you are doing it. Correct. So if the board decides that, okay, see, it makes lots of sense for a manufacturing unit to do it around its local units, local area. But if the board justifies, no, beyond this, there is another community where I'm making more impact, and he can justify it, then it's nothing wrong. That is what the law precisely says.
Okay.
And there is no interpretation on it, it's written there.
Okay, and the B part of this is that whatever exercise we are carrying out some scientific study as well, comparing as to whether liquid hand wash is better or the bar soap is better. So those results are all also coming, and we know that the children or the adolescent boys and girls, they are going to learn this technique, and they are going to spread, and they are the future change agents. And down the line at maturity stage, say after 10 or 12 years or 50 years, we are creating some very big consumer mass, okay, who will be the users in future. Now we have no consumer product, we are not getting any direct benefit, but down the line after 10, 15 years, it has some linkage with the business as well. So whether it will be allowed today and after 10 years, they say that, because you are also getting indirect benefit, because the FMCG products, they'll be buying our chemicals, because our final product is their raw material. Whether it can be disqualified at that point of time, the expenditure, business expenditure or CSR expenditure.
Your question is very clear. Thank you for your question. The response is like this, that as of now, the law leaves it to the conscience of the board. The law very clearly leaves it to the conscience of the board to be able to justify what it is saying is CSR.
Okay, thank you.
There are Schedule 7 which has the project areas, and there is a guiding principle which says that, and there is no part which says that it should not directly benefit the business, indirectly benefit the business, short term, long term, nothing is used as of today. But however, it is very clear that it has to have a definite social benefit. It has to have a definite social benefit in this Schedule 7. It cannot be anything else. And the Schedule 7, we couldn't cover it. Schedule 7 also has some category called social business, which we have not covered. We don't have.
We'll do it in the closing. I'll just mention.
Now what I do is that, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. If I think we will now go for the concluding session. And I want the panelists to be extremely brief. And most of the time, I would like, Uday, if you can tell me what good projects that you can think of which can be both CSR and hitting the triple bottom line or the shared value, one project. And if you, what one change or one clarification that you require in this act and rules so that it actually generates the stakeholder trust and economic development in the country. Please.
As I said, one particular area is the environmental sustainability projects, which is actually a broad category. Under that one, as I said, the idea what I had floated earlier, because there is a good number of tribal population and most of the local area villagers dependent on the forest, and forest produce is the most important and critical minor produce for their survivals. And due to the degradation of the forest, there is a tremendous pressure on the other occupations and other areas of the natural resources there. So it needs to be taken up on seriously by the most of the corporate. And for that, there is a requirement of a private-public partnership, including the involvement of the locals, villagers, under the same path of the joint forest management. And this is an area where I feel the environmental sustainability projects are going to contribute overall, and it is going to be at the lowest level of the local strata, lowest strata of the society will get benefit. And that's an area where most of the corporate must focus. I think this is this is a concept which we floated it. It was appreciated at the World Trade Organization in 2 meetings consecutively, and they are also saying that we are surprised that how is this the government of India doesn't take a close look at these particular proposals.
Yeah.
This is one area. Second is India is a country where we have a lot of pressure on natural resources. A recycling industry is the most important industry which has been grossly neglected. I think our CSR should look at the recycling industry promotion and trying to work on the even supply chain related to the recycled material. And this is an area where I think we need to give a lot of stress. For example, to quote the PET what we make in Reliance, we started a recycling of the PET bottles, and that was the raw material required. It saves a lot of our, you can say our petroleum resources and reserves. It saves, it actually brought in a lot of change. More than about 10% of our today's requirement comes from the recycling. So similarly, in many places where you have a certain projects like utilization of the waste, solid waste, utilization related to the various plastic material, metals, and some of the various solvents, many of the chemicals. I think these are the environmental sustainability projects which need to be taken up, and that will have an environmental sustainability. And as I said, that the greening of the forest is an area where it's my pet project. So I still pursue it in whichever company I works. I have been pursuing it. I hope I will be continue to pursue that.
Thanks a lot, and you will soon see that the next presentation, I'll ask all of you to wait here, after the, is that you see the one water filter there and 2 cook stoves there. Both these are clean energy, clean water projects, and both these are actually deforestation. They prevent deforestation actually. So they will address your issues. The next presentation will address those things. Then Dr. Raju, can you simply tell me, what one change that you would like to, or one clarification that you would like to see in the Act and the rules, okay, which will make it much better as far as contributing to the country's economic development and inclusive development is concerned? Please.
Yeah. Actually, what one big contradiction I find in the human behavior, whenever government says, we will give you simplest rules, simplest
They
laws,
want to complicate.
you want more and more. When government is clearly saying, I am giving you choice to you, you do whatever you feel the right, the social responsibility, and you want an exhaustive list of 1,000 items to be given, what is social responsibility.
Good.
Now, when government gives big a law, we say government is interfering in every activity.
Authoritarian.
Are we behaving in a matured way, responsible way, Are we behaving as mature, responsible citizens, corporate citizens? We have to think of our, I'm not giving answer. We have to think of ourselves. When something is given, you want more. When more is given, you don't want. Now, where are we putting the government?
Never
That is-
satisfied.
that is one issue, of course. That is a human contradiction is there throughout the world, not only in
Or only India. Argumentative
throughout the
India.
world, throughout the world,
Throughout the world,
throughout the world. But coming to basically this, what I want to see, when I was doing my graduation, Mrs. Gandhi said, next decade we will become superpower. And after our son came, we said we will become superpower next decade. Then another prime minister came, next decade we will become superpower. Then this government says we are superpower, we will become superpower. Now think of when even 20-30% of the people are not well educated. 10% of the people don't have good health, good sanitation. Can ever we think of that becoming a superpower? Now, according to me, these are the two important things, education and health. If you don't achieve good level of education throughout the country and we don't provide good health to the citizens, whatever we have, maybe largest number of billionaires in India, it is of no use to us. Largest number of rich people we have in India, it is of no use to me. So when people become empowered, people become quite alert and they know their rights, then only we can say at least human beings wise we are superpower. If not, we don't have nuclear bombs or hydrogen bombs. Therefore, according to me, two important things. If corporates, my own with my own resources, I do these two things only with my Rotary or individual capacity in my village. Education, health. Education, health. If you achieve these two things, all other things, according to me, are the byproducts. They will follow. So therefore, my appeal is only education and health.
It builds the human capital. It builds the human
That
capital.
is the only thing. People become, they will become empowered on their own if you give education. That is what we have been deprived of in this country for 67
Thanks
years.
a lot. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And very importantly, brought the point that we want to become superpower. It looks to me a very wrong ambition. Everybody wants to become superhuman, superpower. You know. Anyway, that is creating a world which is
been fooled by
that is creating a world which is completely unsustainable. Because the very ambition of becoming superpower looks to me very funny.
Agreed.
Why everybody wants to be a superpower? Okay, so Mr. Molla, so just give me some example projects, which is ideal projects, one or two of them.
I just take from where he ended.
Uh-huh.
In India, if you see the investment, the social investment in the area of health and education is the highest. In the 12th five-year plan, what you are proposing, I mean that India is not really signing what Vivek was telling, but it is not really becoming very, very inclusive. So I think as a business, we have a lot of duties in that area. And we need to, if you see the Indian demography, the number of youth will be multiplying, and by 2020 we will require more than 80 million people to work for. So skill development has been identified as one of the most important area by government, and many corporates have taken a very big initiatives there. Last year only 19 lakhs people have been trained up by the government, and all PSUs and all even private companies also working in that. So for my side, I think skill development, if we can give them, then that will give income generation, and then there could be inclusive growth.
And also demographic dividend can be harnessed. Yeah.
So then if there is income, there is things, then people will be able to participate everywhere, and then economy will also start growing up. Because we still feel humiliated to see that most of the people defecate in open only in India. So unless you have income generations, then that will be artificially defeated, and that can only happen when people start earning. Because of that, skill giving development is one of the most important area we'd like to work.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for this. And Shubha, would you like to give some concluding remarks?
Yes, so just speaking from the perspective of the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, we are very optimistic that the Act and its rules will bring about greater impact rather than just mere outcomes, greater social transformation apart from economic growth, respecting our people's diversity, culture and rights and privileges. I know it sounds like a motherhood statement, but ultimately that should be the true aspiration of the Act.
Definitely. Yeah, Paresh.
CSR has been so loosely used for the last 30, 40, 50 years by so many people in so many geographies and so many economic statuses that we have got too many expectations from one poor CSR. The two small points beyond this which I'd like to make, there are some very good examples of 108. And actually, after what Mr. Raju said, saying anything is sacrilege. I should have walked out after what you have said. The two good priority needs from my angle would be toilets, midday meals. And these go into your education and health. And these are totally in project mode. There cannot be any deviation. You clearly see toilets built, midday meals given, schools, children going to the next, and so on. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Vishwanathan, specific my request to you is that in the implementation of the whole act and the rules, okay, what kind of problems that you see, how the tax issues will be addressed, and how the punitive clauses will get into operation, etc., etc. If you can sort of that, I think many of the audiences really want to have a enlightenment.
Before I get into that, I will just like to add that while we are now all along talking of a CSR spent by a corporate, there is a huge amount of CSR spend, or I would say government spending, which is happening almost in the similar sector. The point is that how much of it can actually be done genuinely on a partnership basis. Like there is a huge amount of expenditure which government is also spending on health, which is reaching, sometimes not reaching, and the corporate is in a way duplicating the same effort or in a different area. So this is one area which the act and the rules have not really addressed. They have actually talked of partnership between corporates, but not partnership between government and corporate. So I think that, so if a corporate is genuinely taking up a project, which is say it could be even more than 2% of the spend, but it could be 15% of the profits of the company. If there is a government support to those initiatives by way of grants or various other things, so instead of the government actually doing the job, the corporate acts as a catalyst for the whole purpose, it would definitely bring in a lot of more efficient use of the funds. Otherwise, you will actually have a duplication like the benches, what Mr. Srinivasan was telling. You will have 2 sets of benches coming in, 2 sets of dispensaries getting opened. So this is one thing. Now come deep. One of the thing here which is any bounties or subsidies received from the government or any public authority constituted or authorized on this behalf by the government, unless and except insofar as central government otherwise directs. So which means that what happens is that if you are giving any backward area benefit, if you are giving any sales tax benefit for opening up your factory in a certain state, now in sales tax you have got 2 things, you have got a deferral program or you have got a subsidy program. Now if you go for a deferral program, you are not getting any benefit out of the government. It is only deferment of the liability, so you may technically say that it is not eligible. But if you are getting a subsidy from the government, so it could fall into probably this category. So this is one thing. So, but although the subsidy may be like they say that 10% of the machinery cost is being given by the government. So that could be a large expenditure which is coming in which is of a capital nature. But as far as CSR is concerned, that will be considered as an income. It will be considered as an income.
Okay.
When it will be considered as an income, the opposite of it, that means if you have to actually pay something, it should be considered as an expenditure. This is a logical thing which comes in.
Coming to for this thing, would you emphasize on the punitive part of it?
I'll come really quickly. There will be 2 more things. Now then the CSR committee which comes in. Now the CSR committee has to be formed. Now one of the major things here, what is happening is, barring probably some of the listed companies, or I would say most of the listed companies and very few private companies, board meetings are hardly held. It is more a compliance issue. So what happens is, like if you have a closely held company which is having a CSR committee, so when the board itself is inactive, the CSR committee cannot be active. So it is only a matter of paradox there. So I'm using the word mostly the listed companies are having the board meetings. Not all, not necessarily all. But at least the private companies are never having. Very few companies I have seen in my whole career really genuinely having board meetings. So when board itself is not very active,
what is the CSR?
What is the use of the CSR? So that is why I said there could be a name added for an independent director for compliance purpose. So this is one thing. And of course roles and duties of the companies have been defined. Now on the taxation treatment, they have said that it will be issued by the CBDT.
CBDT, yeah.
Now we are expecting that mostly in the union budget for the next year, all these things will come in. See, one of the things that happens is, like today when you give a donation, you get either a 100% deduction or a 50% deduction. Now what happens is, technically the 100% and the 50%, both these objectives more or less coincide with the objectives of the CSR. So which means that many of these institutions which are at the 50% will get shifted to the 100% category. It will definitely happen, and anything that is there in the CSR will become logically a business expenditure as far as the company is concerned from an income tax perspective. Because if it is required for the purpose of complying with the regulations, it is a business expenditure. Yeah. Because you are not supposed to, if you operate a business, you are supposed to do it. So it becomes a compliance expenditure. Yeah. Whereas as of today, it is not. If you are spending some money which is not directly related to the purpose of the business, and which is not given as a donation to either this 50% category or 100% category, it is disallowed in the income tax assessment, it is added back to the taxable income, and you actually pay the tax on that, because unless it is having a direct correlation with the business, you are able to establish. Like if you are putting a village road, if you are laying a road in a village, for the and you are able to prove that it is for the purpose of movement of your trucks, for a smoother movement of trucks, it becomes a permissible expenditure. But if your factory is somewhere and your road is somewhere else, you may still do the road, but you will not get the benefit of it. Now they have defined certain policy guidelines for CSR on how the whole thing, and any income. So again, the CSR spending also will become like a calculation in the CSR computation. Like you have an opening CSR spend balance, you have amount eligible for the current year, you have amount expended in the current year, and you have the closing balance. I mean, these things, you will obviously have any income generated from CSR activities or surplus out of CSR activities will also go into the reserve. So effectively what will happen is the company will have, while it may have to probably maintain a separate record of these expenditure, from the books of accounts point of view, it is not still very clear whether you should actually assign it in a reserve, like you have a debenture redemption reserve or you have any other reserve, whether you will have a CSR reserve where the profit will have to get parked, like the balance spent, like you are supposed to spend say 100,000 rupees, you have only spent 60,000 rupees, 40,000 rupees should come in as an allocation from your profit into the reserve, not the taxable profit, but a appropriation of the profits. The next year you have the eligibility, you have the spend, and you also have the income generated out of those CSR activities. So that also tracking will have to be done. Then some operating guidelines have been provided on how the CSR has to be done. Now here the onus of tracking the entire CSR spend and finally providing a certificate is given to the CSR committee and the board of directors, ultimately to the board of directors. Now one of the very I would say sensitive parts which are there is the certification which have to be given by the managing director, CEO, along with the chairman of the CSR committee, who will logically, although it is not defined, who will logically be the independent director. Ideally, he should be the independent director. Is that the expenditure has been spent in letter and spirit for the objectives.
Absolutely.
Now, this is a very dangerous word.
Very serious.
Very dangerous word. It is just like saying that it is a true and fair view. It is a letter and spirit. Letter is okay, you can still justify it, but the spirit of it is that is the board has to really be extremely careful.
Before signing.
As of now, there is no requirement for third-party certification on this, but I am sure that going forward, these things are going to come in. You may probably
Isn't it these guiding principles actually provide the spirit of the game?
It should be. See, the intention of the regulation is that you should do it with letter and spirit. But whether an expenditure that is spent by the company, so which means that the board is required to define specific guidelines, it has to ensure a monitoring mechanism, it has to keep track of the whole process, which means there has to be a proper internal audit of those activities by an external agency, and it has to get reported. And finally, you need to ensure that the objectives for which you had assigned these things, like you were saying that you are setting up a school. Now, whether the school is set up, whether the children are coming, whether the education is happening, whether the teachers are coming, whether the curriculum is going on, what is the success rate of the students in the school, what is the success rate of the attendance of the students in the school. all these things are, I think statistically, will be able to give an inference to the board that the letter and spirit has been met.
And also the teachers teaching the subject,
Exactly.
whether they themselves
Yeah,
know the
themselves
subject.
know the subject.
People teaching English, do they know English?
Too much too much.
Yeah.
Those things are not there. We are to avoid only. We are saying setting up of the school. Whether your appointment of teachers is not your responsibility.
No, but then the
that-
letter and spirit will not come. Letter and
Spirit
will not
issue.
come.
Spirit issue.
Spirit will not come.
But
Not
the
the other spirit. This
But the key point which you have just mentioned, key point which has just been mentioned is, it's not PAT, it's PBT.
PBT.
It's not PAT. Please,
Profit before tax.
Yeah, that is very clear.
Adjusted profit before tax.
Yeah, yeah.
Adjusted
Absolutely,
profit
that is very
just
clear.
to think
And
of
as you are
penalty.
clearly saying, even penalty issues are
No,
there.
I'm coming
Please
to
come
penalty.
to-
Last is the penalty.
I think it's-
While specifically on CSR, no penalties have been defined. But there are some general penalties which have been defined under the Companies Act, particularly under 450 and 451 sections, for any default in any section in the Companies Act. Of course, the penalty is very trivial. It is prudent to pay the penalty because it is 10,000 rupees. It is 10,000 rupees for the offence committed, and for the company and every officer who is responsible for it. And for every continuing offence, it is 1,000 rupees at the first instance. And thereafter, if the default continues under section 452, if it continues in the subsequent occasions, then the penalty will become double.
Absolutely.
Double. And in addition to any imprisonment provided for that offence. Meaning, not the CSR section is not provided for imprisonment. There are other sections where some imprisonment could be there, in which case it can come in. But what happens is, when it is not clearly defined that imprisonment is there, not there. Now, fortunately, our company law side, the activity of particularly witch hunting is much less as compared to other regulations. So we expect that this will be used very, very diligently.
Are we misinterpreting? See, the CSR guidelines clearly say it is voluntary as of now. When you say it is voluntary, question of imprisonment, penalty do not arise. So there is not stretch too much and saying that negative part we are putting before the doing the positive things. When you say voluntary, there cannot be any penalty.
It was a wonderful discussion.
Whether this 2% expenditure can be carried forward to the next
Yes.
Yes. There are rules prescribed for that.
yes, it can be.
There are
But
rules
you have to
prescribed
give
for that.
reasons. You have to give reasons.
It can be. But you have to explain why.
But you have to spend that balance amount in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
The present draft rules are very clear on that, but what will be the final rules, we'll see.
They will not be relaxing.
And if there are subsidiary companies, whether all the companies
Each
has
company
to-
is responsible.
Each
You have
company
to examine the eligibility of each company.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your patience, and I think it has been an extremely useful discussion. Okay, I thank all the panelists too.